Hi there, good evening and welcome. I am Dani Henderson, spiritualtherapist.com, and it gives me the greatest honor and delight in my tummy. My yummy tummy is so excited. If you just look at the screen at these four other amazing, beautiful, intelligent, strong warriors on planet Earth. And we're going to start with introducing the very, very well-known American royalty herself. Of course, she's far too humble to say that. Luckily, I'm not. It is Laura Eisenhower, currently on mute.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. I'm sort of on the road right now, and lighting's not the best, but I didn't want to miss this. And I'm so just happy to be with these amazing women who I haven't talked to and seen for so long.
It's so good to have you, Laura. Thank you, darling. And Ginny, we're going to move to you, my love. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Ginny. I live in Arizona. I am a soul and animal communicator. And thank you so much, Dani, for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Of course. Excited to have you, my love. And Andrea Foulkes, you have frozen. Are you there, my love? Oh, knickerknockers. Right, we're going to move to Elena Danaan. Hello, darling.
Hello, Dani. How are you? And I'm so glad to be with these amazing women. So who I am? Oh, what can I say? Archaeologist, druidess, alien contactee, light worker. That's who I am. What to say else?
And so much more. She, as many of you, as many of you know, Elena Danaan is a very, very significant emissary for planet Earth in this time of ascension, in this time of full disclosure. So what we're going to do this evening with these wonderful, wonderful beings is share some strange but true stories. You're going to hear a couple of odd alien tales. You're going to hear a couple of peculiar paranormal tales. Are you ready to be entertained? I'm sure you are. We're going to start with Laura Eisenhower. She's going to take us on a journey to an English convent. Laura.
Yes, hello. So you want me to just jump in and tell a crazy story that probably people don't know?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I think I have two, and I don't think people know that I lived on the road for a good 10, 12 years of my life and lived out of vehicles and a school bus and raised my twins to about 4 years of age with a very unstable partner, and didn't really know where the next meal was going to come from or if we were going to make it. But we just happened to get through it. I didn't even go to a doctor until I was 5 months pregnant. And I ended up having full-term twins, both over 6.5 pounds. And so it was pretty wild, to just be living that kind of lifestyle and just traveling all over the place, renting apartments here and there, and just like dealing with just being targeted to go off planet during all of that when my boys were about, 8 years old, and having to protect us from all of that. I think people might think that, I have some trust fund or live, some Eisenhower family like life that's of luxury. And I'm sure people don't really know that I've mostly lived on the road. Now I'm a lot more stable and we have a little small farm. And another thing that I was talking to you guys about is, well, I was born in England. I was born at home in England. And I went back, every year and traveled throughout England, Wales, Scotland. And my next goal is to travel all over Ireland because my heart's so there in Ireland. But I ended up moving back when I was 12 years old by myself to live with my grandparents. And I went to an Ursuline convent preparatory school, and it wasn't some elitist school. It was a very rundown place with a bunch of nuns. Some were like nice and some were absolutely strict and very scary. But me and the girls had so much fun, and we just turned the place upside down by doing a lot of improv and playing a lot of musical instruments and just laughing our asses off. And the nuns didn't know what to do about it. And Sister Anne especially didn't know what to do about it because she was like the strictest and scariest. But when it was my time to leave to move back to the States, they threw a big party for me at one of the local parks. And it was the most touching thing ever that they did that for me. And then the nun at the end of the party said to me before I left and said goodbye, she said, "Laura, your stay has been a mixed blessing." And I'll never forget her face. And she just sort of like bowed down, you know, just honored, you know, my presence there. And I stayed friends with everybody for quite some time. We were pen pals. And it was probably the best year of my life before moving back to the States. And it was very hard to reacclimate because just, you know, American high schools, come on. It was just like, what? So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Who would have thunk that you've actually been to a school, an English convent, no less, in England? That is amazing, amazing. Elena, we're going to come across to you here, and would you share us your story of the psychopath?
Okay, I have a psychopath story. I have many, actually. That's one.
I wouldn't advertise that, love.
Well, it's difficult to pick one story that people don't know about me. So I started to tell a list to Dani, and the jaw drops. That one. Okay, I was the bait. I have been a bait to catch a psychopath in Paris. How did that happen? So my sister, my youngest sister, when she was 17, went to Paris for a work experience. I was living in Paris. I was living and working there. And my younger sister, she was 17, she came, and she had this work experience in a hotel as a waitress or cook, I don't remember. And she was living there for 2-month experience. And there was a young guy who was a serious psychopath there, who charmed her and totally turned her head. And she went away with him. And the thing is, he abducted her. He coerced her to go with him, first to the north of France, where he was from. And she ended up in a very difficult family with violence. And then she phoned me and my mother, who was in Marseille, help, I want to get out of this, but he has a weapon, and he threatens me with a weapon to kill me and to come and kill all my family if I leave him. Help. So that was a big, horrible panic. But we knew she wasn't in a good hand, because I had seen the guy once in Paris, and I straight away went, I saw the danger. I said, do not go with him. Well, then she disappeared for a year, and she managed times to pass a phone call from at the time there were telephone cabins, that the cellulars didn't exist yet. And I'm in Spain, I'm in Netherlands, I'm here, I'm there. Help, help, he has a gun, help. And sometimes she managed to say that he was making her doing ugly stuff physically, things like this. Well, she was subject to torture and horrible stuff.
Oh,
and and he had totally destroyed her mind. Like, she was saying, but he says I'm not able to leave him because I'm shit, I'm dumb, blah blah blah. Then one day she managed to pass a phone call saying, oh, he's been robbing houses, and he's having a lot of TVs and even things he's robbed, and he's always threatening me with killing me with a gun, etc. Well, at that point, I went, okay, I'm now, we need help. We need help from the police. I tried every police station in Paris that I could, and all of them were like, oh, laughing, very macho, like, oh, your sister, she's with a boyfriend, she ran away, and you're imagining all this, or she's just come back, don't worry. They just didn't want to get involved. And one night, I was in my bedroom. I was, after I have been through all Paris trying to convince the police, I was in my room and I lit a candle and I went, that's it now. I went into the kitchen. I took a kitchen knife. I went back to the candle and I went, that's it now. I'm going to find this guy and kill him. And at that moment, there was a big, warm, fuzzy energy that came on me from above. And I felt a presence that I didn't recognize first, being Thorhan. And I heard his voice in my head saying, you will not need to do this. Help will come to you. Go by this. Source is around me and I am in her light. And I dropped the knife. Oh, wow. Following morning, I had this intuition I had to do one last police station. Went there and the guy sit me down. He said, you're going to speak with the lieutenant, the head inspector. He came, big, tall guy. And I started to tell the story, really not believing, I was going to be believed, but yet I was, introduced to this guy. And he said, I believe you. We're going to nail him and we're going to save your sister. I just broke in tears. And during another year, nearly a year, we traced him. And he said, listen, you are the only link to catch him. And you are going to need to work with us. So every time my sister would call me, I had questions to ask her. And they asked me, you need to bring them back to Paris, then we can catch them. Otherwise, we have no power anywhere else. We are able to have power only in our district. We cannot arrest anyone else somewhere else. So we need to do it in Paris. You need to bring them back in Paris. So that's what I did. I started to lie to my sister because I said, okay, she's mind controlled by this guy. So I lied that I had found him a job. That was hard to believe because he knew I hated him. So they anyway went back to Paris. I managed to get them back to Paris by lying. And once in Paris, I asked to meet them. And I was like this. And I said to the cop, the guy had become a good friend, and he's still a good friend since, because we had so much together. Oh my God. So I said to him, yeah, I'm going to meet him, but you will protect me, right? He said, yes, there will be a civilian police car. You won't know it's us. We'll be there. We'll watch. Okay. So they first came to my work. I told them where I was working. And he said, the guy was there. My sister was like a ghost. And he was very suspicious. They are very clever, these psychopaths. And I said to him, listen, I don't like you. I hate you. You had got to tell the truth a bit. But because my sister loves you and wants to be with you, I'm going to make an effort. So that's why, because for her, because I want you both to have a nice life, I found you a job in Paris. Because I spoke like this and I was very convincing, he believed me. And he said, okay. Then he tested me. He said, okay. But we have bags, and especially I have bags. I need to put them somewhere we have nowhere to sleep. The next step was for me to tell him where I live, to put him in trust. And that was a big deal. So I said, let me call you back after work. They gave me a number. And I said to the cop, I said, I'm going to tell them where I live. Are you really, really sure? He said, yes, we're here. Don't worry. So I met them at night in front of my house. There was a little cafe. And I really played it. And I said, yeah, I don't like you, but I found you a job, blah, blah, blah. And I consented to, they were going to sleep, I don't know where, in the shelter. But the test for me was that I take his bag to my house and he comes with me to my flat. Then he knows where I live. And we leave the bags here for the night. And after his work appointment, which was to be the following day, he'll come back and take the bags. And I say, yes, okay, leave the bags there. They went, and the following day I said, okay, this restaurant person who has a job for you wants to meet you in a bar, in a cafe. Here's the address of the cafe, the time, the name of the person, and he'll meet you there and make a good impression, blah, blah, blah. He was like, my sister told me afterwards that he half believed me, but he went anyway. God. So they went to the appointment the following day, okay? I spent the night with all these big bags in my house. The following day, they went to this appointment, the guy, the psychopath, my sister, in this cafe. And who came? Not an imaginary restaurant owner, but the cops. And they took him. They took them both. They pass a phone call. The cops phoned me and they said, oh, we got your sister. All is well. It's over. Now we're going to send you, I was in tears. We're going to send you a police car to your house, and you come and you bring the bag. Did you open it? Them? No. Great. Bring everything. I said, listen, do not send a police car because my neighbors, they're very nosy, and I'm done. I'm going to take a taxi. Okay, no problem. We pay for it. No problem. So this poor taxi guy, I dragged this heavy, it was horrible, huge and heavy bags. I don't know what was in it. I knew after that there were TVs in it.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't a dead body, because that's where my mind just went with a psychopath.
No.
Okay.
Drag these bags in the boot of the taxi, and police station, blah blah. The guy was, that's weird. Looked like two corpses, you know.
God.
And we arrived there. I was asked to wait. Oh my God! I dragged down the bags out of the boot. Two policemen came and took them, and the taxi went. Whoom! Nope. Was that the thing is, in the bag there were weapons like big guns, yeah, big guns, hard drug, all sorts of things. And yeah, he must be still in prison, and my sister was fine. So that's the story.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God. My heart was thudding partway through that. But I am glad there were no dead bodies in the bags.
No, but he killed people, but there wasn't any of them in the bag.
Oh my God, Elena.
Yeah, I've done stuff. Yes, that, you know, you learn your strength when you need to do a job. Well, I've been trained. Life has trained me to come where I am now, you know, and that was just a warm up.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, my love. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That was wild, wild, wild. Ginny.
Alrighty, well, this is a strange one, and I never told the story until today to you ladies. After my near-death experience, this part I think is somewhat normal for some people that have near-death experiences. When we come back, there's it's almost like you don't hang up the telephone line. There is a very large opening to the other side. And so when I would fall asleep in that sort of hypnagogic state, as I was falling asleep, I would have visions. And one night, and this is what caused me to go on a journey to make sure that I could not experience these things again. A being came to me, and I'd never heard of that there were aliens. I didn't know what a chakra was. So imagine my surprise when a being that did not look terribly humanoid come to me and say, hey, we crashed our spaceship here and we need some help. And the other part of me on the other side that's doing God knows what said, oh yeah, no problem. I know what to do about that. And went off and talked to some people and I fell asleep. So that was the craziest thing. And that definitely sent me on a journey to find healers that could help me not have to have conscious awareness of those experiences anymore.
Oh my God, Ginny, what do the beings look like?
Well, they kind of look like they were cat people. And if I remember correctly, and it's been 10 years and I haven't told anybody the story, and I don't even know if beings like this exist. So they said they were Antarians, but I don't know anything about that. And they sounded sincere to me, and it sounded the other part of me knew what I was talking about. But in my life, I have no idea what any of that is about.
Oh my goodness. The other part of you, that's wild to even think about or conceive of another part of you being in another dimension. That's just, it's just
Right.
so fascinating. Wow. Andrea Foulkes.
Hello. Loving hearing all those stories. Oh my God, I've got so many stories. I mean, I was engaged to a psychopathic con man, but that's a whole other story in itself. And by not trusting the message, and over the years, I kept getting these messages saying you need to master the con man. For where you're going, you need to understand every facet of the con man. So I would have all these kinds of weird experiences which would teach me to understand the con man, you know, the facets of con men. And then I had a stalker. I've had a few, but once I had this stalker that basically I was going to publish other people's books at the time, but I never did. And his was one of the manuscripts that they sent. And I thought, this is a great book. It's about autism and Asperger's. And yeah, I'll print this book. Anyway, then he started stalking me. It got really bad. The police got involved and everything. And this went on for 3 years, okay? And then one day he just called and he went, do you know what, Andrea? Really sorry about the last 3 years. I thought you were Debbie that I saw in my dreams, but it actually wasn't you. It was Debbie. So goodbye. Dumped by the stalker, just like that. 3 years. And it's so...
How rude.
How dare you dump me?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh
I
my
thought,
God.
oh, poor Debbie.
Poor Debbie. Oh, that's wild and crazy. Well, at this very moment, my darlings, we've actually lost Laura Eisenhower. Hopefully she's going to come back online. I'm going to share a quick stalker story too. So I used to have to go to church like all the time. And I was like a teenager at this point, like, I don't know, 15, I think. And do you remember Billy Graham? When he was like the biggest, you know, we used to go to the Albert Hall and watch him sing and talk and preach. And anyway, all I used to do was like run up in the ceilings of the Albert Hall and run round and round and just smoke behind the radiator. And, you know, such a naughty girl. And anyway, so this, I got invited to sing with the International Christian Recording Studios, backing vocals on a Billy Graham record. And I was really like, oh, Cliff Richard was on it. And it was like, oh, well, like, or whatever it was I sang, I don't remember. But I thought I was it, right? I was jam on toast. Anyway, the boys at church that worked at the studio, they invited me to be in their band. And they made this song up. And it was so terrible. It was like, hurdy-gurdy, birdie-wordy, hurdy-gurdy, birdie-wordy, hurdy-gurdy, birdie-wordy, hurdy-gurdy. And then my line was, that's my boyfriend over there, the one in the corner with the long pink hair, hurdy-gurdy, birdie-wordy, hurdy-gurdy. So we made this record, right? But the next thing, the keyboard player was a bit mental. And I didn't know he was a mental case until everywhere I went, his little red car, remember Noddy's little red car? His little Noddy and Big Ears, so children's English cartoon. Everywhere I went, there was the little red car with the stalker behind it was the most terrifying thing, because I knew he was mental and I felt sorry for him. I knew if I told my dad would slap him silly. And it would be like, I'd go downtown with my friends on a Saturday, I'd look out the back window, there he was. You know, it was awful. Anyway, this one particular day, he was sitting across the street from me in Eastbourne, Sussex, on the wall, just staring up at my bedroom window. I'm like, how do you even know what bedroom I'm in? And I thought, I can't take it anymore. It was starting to really frame my nerves. So I told my dad, who's 5'8", they call him Big George, you do not mess with my dad. He's Scottish, he's a Highlander. He will hand you your ass, even if you're 6'6". And he's done it plenty of times. He went out and I couldn't watch. But I heard the boy scream and yelp. I knew my dad had slapped him silly, and I never ever saw that red car again. Yes, thank you, George Henderson. You are a scholar and a chief. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, guys, so we're going to carry on sharing. And guys, we are going to move into some kind of galactic intel at some point too, just so you know. But we want to give you a bit of a share and an insight into some of these warrior goddesses here on a Sunday evening. So, Elena, we're going to come back to you with either an alien other than Thor Han and your galactic family on the Galactic Federation mothership currently, or a paranormal story that might quake people up a little bit.
Oh, I have plenty of both of them. I don't know, alien or paranormal. Well, maybe paranormal for change. Okay, one I haven't never told before. Okay, when I was in my 20s, I had a friend, and she lived in the south of France in an area where there's a lot of vineyards, and her parents owned an old vineyard, old house, you know, and it was very medieval in some parts. And I used to work with her in Paris, and she was saying, oh, come and visit my house for holidays, because it's there are poltergeists there. And I said, yeah, okay, yeah, interesting. Okay, so I went there, and first night I sensed presence. It was really weird. The following morning, and she was saying to me, she said, since my childhood, there are poltergeists, like objects running around the rooms, lights switching on and off, flower pots moving by themselves in the garden, like plenty of stuff. And the following morning, we were having breakfast in the kitchen, and myself, herself, and her boyfriend. And one of the drawers of the kitchen just opened, like, and the little handle. And I went, there you go. And she was like, yeah, it's doing it again. It's doing it again. The boyfriend was like pale. He's been acting like a statue the whole thing. Guys, really, anyway, not really helped. And I say, okay, I'm going to enter in contact with this person. And I felt it wasn't bad. It was nice. Oh yes, I forget to say, before that, the afternoon before, I was in one of the living rooms with like vaults, and there was I saw books moving on the shelves. First, the classical racks in the walls, like that's classical, and then the books moving on the shelf. The books like going.
God.
And yeah, someone is trying to communicate, and that was no more than that. And the following morning, there was this drawer thing, and I said, okay, I'm going to communicate with this person. See, we're gonna know what it is about. I don't think when I incarnate here, I didn't take fear as an option. I grabbed a stool. I sat in front of the drawer, and I grabbed the handle, because I knew the ghost also grabbed the handle, and on this hand, and I felt a connection. I felt a cold wind coming into me. It was very young and feminine. And right now, and she put a pen on my paper on my knees, the pen, and I said to the ghost, I said, "Give me your name." And she took my hand. I could feel her hand, her little girl hand holding my hand, and she started to do spirals. And a paranormal specialist told me later that it always starts like this, doing spirals to just get used to the hand. And then she wrote a name and a surname, and which we actually afterwards, we went to the archives of the town, and this person existed. I tell you the story afterwards. So I said to her, to the ghost, I said, "I am going to help you leave." And she was so excited. And I said to her, "What is your favorite room? Take me to your favorite room. We're going to do it here." And she was really pulling my hands towards, she was invisible, frozen, but could feel the two little hands pulling me towards another part of the room. The girlfriend was following. The boyfriend was still statue pale on his chair. And we went into the oldest part of the house. Makes sense. It was the 12th century part. 12th century. And I said to my girlfriend, "Open the window, open the window, open the window." I sat in the room, middle of the room on the floor. And, you know, I'm not religious. I haven't been religious, but that's the only thing that came to my mind. I said the Holy Father and her name. I said the Holy Father and her name. And now I am setting you free. You can go. You are free. 3 times. Her name, you are free. And I felt her leaving my hand and going through the window, and she was gone forever. But at the moment, just before our fingers parted, just at that moment, it was just like this. She gave me a gift, a thank you gift. It was a wave of powerful love, a powerful thank you. And it took me whole. And I saw her, this little girl with a little dress in medieval dress with an apron and a little hat, a bonnet. And she went away forever. And that was it, no more. She was gone forever. I set her free. During the following morning, we went to the city archives, the town archives, and we found out that she was one of the families who lived in this house in the 12th century. And this little girl died because she fell on a tool and she hit her head. And that's how she died. But she stayed there. And that's my paranormal creepy story.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. Ginny.
Well, I have thousands of paranormal stories. They're not creepy to me. I'm creepy to them, I think. You know, because I can see them and I can smell them, and I know, like, if they're dressed in their Sunday best, or, you know, that, you know, we can explain to people what they look like or what kind of clothes they're wearing, how they want to be presented to people. But the most interesting thing that I've never said publicly, is it okay if it's not creepy?
Yes.
Is I was working in Colorado a couple of years ago, and I was there to talk to some horses, and this little baby goat came up to me and said, "Excuse me, I have something to say." And I said, I'm sorry, but the little baby goat wants to talk. Who owns the baby goat? And the owner came up behind me and she goes, "Oh yeah, I'm an animal communicator. I know about all this stuff. Please go ahead and talk to the baby goat." Well, the baby goat, it was so funny. I started getting real animated, and I was kind of shaking my hip, and I had one of my hands on my hip, and I was going like this, you know. And the little goat goes, "Well, if a horse has a problem with goats, then it's the horse's problem, not the goat." And I was like, okay, does anybody know what that means? And the one lady I was there to talk with, and then the lady that owned the goat, started cracking up. And they were both involved in on a ranch where there's equine therapy. And the woman that invited me there had a degree in spiritual psychology and did some sort of equine therapy. And I guess the week before I had gotten there, the little baby goat asked his mom, can we go over and watch the horses do the equine therapy? Because I want to do that. So they went over, and the lady and the horse both said, goats can't do what horses can do. No, you know. And so, of course, I had to break it to the women that actually goats can do, you know, and that they were a little bit misunderstanding about infinite beings and their wisdom and everything. So that didn't go over too well with the lady that owned the horses, but the lady that owned Little Goat loved it, you know. So I went back to the hotel, and it's, I don't know, I think it's 2 a.m, and I'm woken up startled. And in the room, as big as the hotel room, is the face of what some people would call the overlighting deva. I call it the oversoul of goat, this ancient matriarchal goat. And I'm like, hi. And she says, hi, I just wanted to thank you so much for helping this little goat and honoring the soul of goat. And I said, you're welcome. It's the middle of the night. You know, which I'm sure this happens to all of us, right? And, you know, you don't get a lot of sleep when you're aware of these things. So she said, well, I'd like to give you a gift. You were so kind and generous to support one of my little ones, and I'd like to give you a gift. And I said, okay, sounds great. So I was immediately propelled, like in an HD IMAX theater movie, to the scene in the pasture. I was over myself talking to the baby goat, full color, traveled back in time. I'm standing there pointing to the baby goat. And she says, would you like to see what I see in the pasture? And I said, yeah, sure. And she went down to my physical body and she pointed to my heart, and I turned from physical to non-physical in the way that we would see during a session with a client. And she showed me a wound in my own heart. And I said, oh, thank you so much for pointing that out to me. That's so kind of you. Now, she didn't give me the answer. She didn't tell me, you know, why it was there and how to get, you know, but she pointed it out to me and she said, I will take my leave. And I have chills saying that, but it's one of thousands, just thousands. And it's so funny because we do startle them. And I think, Dani, you've told a few stories about that. When we can see them, it freaks them out.
Definitely, definitely. Oh, that's so beautiful, and so nice of you also to give the idea or the truth, reality that there is an oversoul for the species, you know, goat. And it's a shame that Laura bounced out off the Wi-Fi because she's just become a goat mummy, because the goat mother that had kids, the 3 kids were born, but the mummy died, and so Laura's been hand rearing on her farm these beautiful goats. So, but she'll watch us back. I'm hoping she's going to join us. I did just text her. So Andrea, my love, I just want to say, Andrea and Elena, everyone watching this, it's like midnight where they are right now in the wilds in Ireland and England. And for me and Ginny, it's the afternoon. And well, I'm in Costa Rica, she's in America. So we're all from all over the world. But I'm so grateful you guys are here today. Thank you so much for sharing time with us and with the people who get to see this. So Andrea, share a story, my love.
I'm in Cornwall at the moment, and I used to have a house that was this farmhouse that serves St. Michael's Mount, which is the castle in the sea in Marazion. And this was really haunted, this house. I mean, they tried to stop me from buying it when I was going to buy it because there's different centuries was the house, but I turned it into a holiday let. And literally people wouldn't even clean it for me because they were terrified, because this woman in one of the bedrooms would literally push them down the stairs or push them in a cupboard if they didn't clean it properly. But then sometimes I'd meet the people who were on holiday, and if they were lovely, I'd see these messages later saying, it's amazing, I've had this healing experience, blah, blah, blah. But if I would occasionally meet the people and I could think, oh, they're not that nice, I'd get all these complaints like the windows were closed when we went to bed, they were open when I woke up, you know, like the alarm was going off, like the cakes were stolen off the table. And then also there was one cleaner who used to say that there was this big fireplace because it was a really old house and it had a rug, and under the rug 4 times he said he found Monopoly money in a triangle. Like really, really weird. Really weird stuff. So really strange things. And there was an arguing couple that I cleared in another back room because they thought, I mean, as we know, they think they're still stuck in that century arguing. So like cleared them on. But it was interesting that these people, if they were nice, they had nice experiences. And if they weren't so nice, they were having these negative experiences. And then I've got one really funny story about Sedona. I was in Sedona, and the thing is, you know, it's really static in Sedona. And I was like, why do these people, you know, because I go there and I would rent a house for months. And this particular house I was renting, I was like, why would you have polyester sheets like when you have static? Because literally you'd be in bed and these like sparks would be flying off the sheets. Okay. So I'm thinking, this is insane. Like, just to myself, I'm getting really like, why would people not have cotton sheets? This is insane. Like, and then I go to Bell Rock. Okay. So I'm like trotting along this trail into Bell Rock in the middle of nowhere. And all of a sudden there's a set of flat sheets on a rock in Bell Rock, right in the middle of nowhere. And I'm thinking to myself, and this voice in my head is going, you've been going on and on and on about the sheets. And the thing is, in Sedona, there isn't any store that you can go to. And it was before Amazon was really big. There's no way you can go and buy sheets. And there they are. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to steal them, blah, 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 blah. But there they were.
That is outrageous, Andrea. That is outrageous. Oh my goodness.
I have told that story, and I have posted the picture of the flat sheets on the stone at Bell Rock.
That is wild. Absolutely wild. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Well, for me, I mean, obviously everybody here in the screen, we're all clairvoyant, we're all clairsentient, we are all, some people would call it psychic. I don't like that word myself personally. I think it gets overused, but you know, most of us are also mediums. We speak to the beloveds in the other realms. So I don't know whether I should tell the one where the alien being that followed me back from Egypt, including on the plane, or the cottage in the woods. What sounds more mysterious?
The alien on the plane.
The alien on the plane. Okay. Okay, so I'm in New Year's Eve, went for 6 days on a cruise. Now, when I say a cruise, it was a bit more of a ferry with a few ribbons on it, all right? This is the way, Elena will know, this is the way the Egyptians, right?
Yeah.
It's a ferry, you know, not an actual cruise liner, a bit of a ferry, ribbons, and then they'll make a swan out of your towel. Right, and then you'll shower and they'll still make a swan out of that towel. It's kind of like that. Bit of a low budget cruise with my sister, and this is years and years ago, like I don't know, 2000 and something early. Anyway, it was an amazing time, and we went to all of the Karnak, Luxor. I had the most insane spiritual connections, thousands and thousands of orbs. Standing outside of a tomb, I didn't know until I got there, which happens mostly across the world. When we get out of our own country and we go somewhere, we realize that we've not been told the truth about where we are. And I didn't know there was a Valley of the Queens and a Valley of the Kings. And a lot of people that hear this for the first time will never have known that either. You don't know it till you go there. I don't know why they keep that secret, but anyway, so on the way back, I am completely full up with all of my clairvoyant, amazing experiences of all the different levels of legends and beings I've seen there with my eye through the invisibles and physically. So I'm on the plane and I have to be in the window. I'm that mad person. I'm like that the whole time. I'm the one part, I won't put my shade down. No, I want to look out the window and look out for UFOs because then they're out there. And I also want to look out for, if it's daylight, what's called the captain's halo. They say it's rare, it's not. I've seen like 8 of them. What the captain's halo is your plane is in the sky, you look down at the cloud below you, and the image, the reflection of the plane is not only on the cloud below you, but there is a complete round rainbow around it. And that is known as the captain's halo. And I've seen so many because I'm always out the bloody window. Anyway, it's nighttime. I'm sitting in the window. My sister's beside me. There's a man beside her. He's wearing a shirt, a tie, and a V-neck sweater. I look at the man and I say to myself, he is a scientist. He's a meteorologist. I know it. Anyway, back out the window. And I'm looking at the wing, which is behind me. And all of a sudden, I start seeing this light. And this light is going up and down, like peeping, like woohoo, like that over the wing, like this. And then it's yellow, and then it goes like that. And I gosh, I just never seem to learn this lesson, Dani. Don't say you can see them, because once you do that, they're right there. So anyway, I'm looking at this light, and then I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, that's definitely a craft, a light, a being, something. And then I look way down, and there's a mountain range, and it is thunder and lightning, every color that you've never imagined seeing. Red, blue, green, yellow. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, that is a gathering of craft over there. And they're absorbing energy from the mountains. I'm all in my head. I'm all like, oh, this is insanity. And I realized, because I bought a watch, and it was a Christine Dior watch, and it had crystals all the way around it. That's why I got it, to have that pure clear quartz crystal on my wrist, knowing it can really affect the body in a good way. And what I realized was, when I looked out my window and I looked down, there was a cloud attached, and it was the shape of a pyramid. And I timed it, 25 minutes of me interacting with the light behind the plane, seeing all that thunder and lightning down there. And this cloud, this bank of cloud, did not move. That's not possible. The plane's going 500 miles an hour. How did that? No, not possible. Anyway, so I'm clocking all of this, and I didn't even know that dinner had arrived, and my sister had pulled my tray down and put my dinner down. So anyway, I'm looking out the window, and then I look at this light, and I said, I can see you, like that. And it shot up the end of the wing, round the wing, and it came almost directly in front of my window, and it shot lightning. It shot lightning sideways. And as the lightning was coming towards the plane, I jumped back, I smashed into my sister's head. She smashed the man beside her. Dinner went everywhere. I took one look at them. The man's like, and I just back out the window. I'm like, please fuck off, please fuck off, please fuck off. Please don't ever do that again. Please, 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 please don't crash the plane. Please don't send lightning. I'm sorry, but I didn't do anything. What were you doing? You know, it was awful. It was awful. Anyway, I finally calmed down. I look at my sister. She can't even talk. She's so angry and embarrassed. She's got dinner all over her. I said to her, I'm so sorry. She's like, what the hell? I said, I'm so sorry, but there was a UFO out there, some kind of a craft that was communicating. It shot lightning sideways. She's like, oh my God, I've had a week of you with this, and your beings, and your this, and your that. You know, she just had it at that point, and she's normally really, really good. I said to her, look, I know it's a lot to ask, but you got to switch seats with me. I've got to talk to that man. She said, that man is so disgusted with you. I don't think, I said, we've got to change seats. So we both stood up on the seats on the plane. Like, it was ridiculous, because I couldn't ask him to move. I've already ruined his dinner and bashed his head in. So anyway, I sat down in the seat next to him, and I said, hello, sir. And he's kind of looked at me. I said, I am so sorry. I can't even tell you how sorry I am. I said, but you're a scientist, aren't you? And he went, yes. I went, you're a meteorologist, aren't you? A weather expert. He went, how do you know that? I said, I just know. I said, I'm one of those weird people that kind of knows this stuff. I've got to tell you what happened. And then I told him verbatim what happened. And he looked at me and he said, everything you just said to me is utterly impossible. It is completely and utterly impossible, not possible. He said, the only thing that kind of fits is there is a mountain range that the plane will cross over a period of time, like way out by Turkey or somewhere. And he said, but it wouldn't be that you would see a lightning phenomena like that. Nothing like that's ever been recorded. I'm like, dude, it was UFOs. It was, and then he just kind of looked at me, went back into scientific mode. But that was that was nuts. Anyway, so I get home, right? I'm all jazzed. I'm all like, oh, back from Egypt. I'm exhausted. I'm renting the original library part of this massive stately home that was used as a borstal. It was used as a mental home. It had a female housekeeper spirit in it. That's another story. Anyway, so I'm all jazzed. I get home and I'm dropping my bags off and I'm sticking on the television and I'm lighting candles, and all of a sudden I look and there is a silver man standing against the dining room table like this, observing me. And when I was in Egypt and I learned about the crown of Upper Egypt and then the crown of Lower Egypt, and he was wearing a crown of Upper Egypt, but he was all completely silver. He was nothing but silver skin. Like his suit was his skin. And he was standing observing me. And because he made me jump, I screamed, fuck off, like that, because he made me jump. And he jumped because he didn't know I'd see him, but I always see them because I can see in that way through the realms. And then he disappeared, and I'm like, oh my God, that came back from Egypt with me. That came back from Egypt with me. And then I went outside, I opened the door, we had this 1 acre garden, and I shout up, I went, show me your shit then. Come on, show me your shit. I shit you not. 2 giant jumbo jets flew over my garden that way. Now the flight path at Luton Airport was way, way over there, like 2 miles over there. And they never, ever came in that direction. Right over my garden, that went. Anyway, a little bit more to this. A few days later, I went on a date. It was a terrible date. The guy was just like, I don't think he'd ever been taught manners, how to speak to a woman. It was dreadful. So I went to this hotel to meet him, and it was arranged by a friend. So it was safe, right? I leave my car, I go in, we go out for a drink in this village, and I realize I'm going to have to drink myself through this date. It's just that terrible, right? So I'm glugging wine, and I thought I'll just come pick my car up in the morning. Anyway, finally get home, get away from this guy, get a taxi. The next day I've got to go back to the hotel to get my car. So I grabbed this kid, the neighbor had a kid, a little girl, and I grabbed this kid and bring him with me. Kids are good for stuff like that, right? So I thought if I bring a child, then the man's not going to want to chit chat. I can get away, just get my car because he had my keys. So anyway, he's sitting at the table, he's having a cup of tea and having breakfast. So me and this kid, we sit down with him, we start chatting a little bit. And then I'm like, well, you know, he's like, have some tea, have some tea. I'm like, no, really, you know, got to kind of get going. And I've got to take her to a toy shop and blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, this child, she says to the guy, because I'm thinking, how am I going to let him down gently? Like, I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I really don't ever want to see him again. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is so awkward. And this kid goes, Dani saw a silver alien in her living room last night. This guy, who was so anti anything paranormal, he was about to take a sip of tea, and he just kind of stopped and looked at me, and I went, yeah, I did. Yeah, I see them all the time. That was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was like, that is one way, ladies and gents, to get yourself out of an unwanted situation in a date. Just tell a story about aliens like I did and see what happens next. Anyway, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. I couldn't hear you guys at all. All right, so do we want to do another round? We've lost Laura, and it's the night of losing people, clearly. They're vanishing women. Laura's vanished, and now so has Andrea. So is there anything in particular that we would like to share also with the beautiful audiences that will come to see this little broadcast this evening?
Well, regarding to the story you just told, Dani, times are soon here when we are going to, everybody is going to see them, and people from other worlds. And those who still believe it's madness or craziness or they're imaginary, they're up for shocking times. That's going to get weird for them. And we need to all be prepared to this diversity of life forms and having them living beside us, with us together. So we need to just be ready for that, because that's going to get weird for those who do not want to believe because they are in fear.
It's very true. It's very, very true. And again, obviously, you know, taking the temperature of what's going on out there and then sharing stories like this definitely does allow a cellular memory awakening, ideally, that people's own memories of their own things they've denied is just their imagination, or when they've told their partner and their partner has shut them down, which happens so often. And it's mostly, guys, because the other person's scared, you know, doesn't have, right, they're scared. They don't want to think. But so much of the stuff that we see is beautiful and benevolent. Ginny, what do you think about disclosure as and when it's happening now every day?
Well, my experience with it is more as relates to individual experience and individual belief. I'm finding more people who come to me and say, I've never had a session with a person, you know, a healer or any kind of intuitive or facilitator before. My dog told me I needed to talk to you. Or my dog told me to research NDEs, and then I saw the video you were on, and then my dog said, that's the lady you need to talk to. Or, or someone will be referred from a friend and they'll say, I don't really believe in this, but if you can help me, or, or if it's an animal person, if you can help my animal. And I guess if I had, 5 minutes to say something to humanity, I would say that what I'm witnessing at the soul level, the resolution and reconciliation for people is phenomenal. And what I witnessed years ago, taking months or years to slog through a healing process or resolve, I'm watching people now experience this in days, in weeks, in months. And I recently, it used to be when I first had my near-death experience and I was working with someone, and it would always be that I would ask their consciousness of their soul, what do you need? And I would hear resolution and reconciliation. And now, more recently, this year, in the last 5 to 6 months, I'm witnessing unification. I'm witnessing the souls gathering their aspects from all timelines, from other incarnations contemporaneously on the planet, from other 3rd and 4th dimensional realms, so that when they do, let's say, turn into a homo luminous being, or when they do pass away in the physical and go on to their next experience, they will not have to come again to a 3rd or 4th density experience. And so that what I would share is, this is truly real. The evolution of the soul, the level of healing that I am witnessing, it is accelerating, and I am witnessing it, and I cry. I get off the phone with my clients and I go to my husband's office if his door isn't shut, and I collapse and I put my head on his knees and I say, I can't even believe I'm so lucky to witness these experiences of these souls. It is so incredible, and it is real. And I meet people who, they never talked about this in their whole life, and they're 40, they're 50, and they've had, journeys and visions just spontaneously, or dreams. And to be someone that they're willing to share it with, or to trust that one little thing where they're having a problem, that the hitch and the giddy up with the light bodies, or the evolution, the expansion, or let's say collapse of the energetic chakras into one, or I'm witnessing the Earth Star chakra transition and become a planetary chakra, not an Earth Star chakra, because we're going to travel. And I'm watching the oversoul be embodied, not just the soul, and to levels that firstly, I never heard this language 10 years ago. So, but for me, and everything I've experienced and everything I've studied, what I am witnessing goes beyond anything I've ever found documented. And I am so proud to be on the planet at this time, witnessing this with beautiful people like yourselves, who are doing this work, who came here on purpose to be here at this time, to witness this, to share space, to ensure that we all can make whatever choice we want to make and go wherever we want to go.
Oh, Ginny, that's beautiful. And you mentioned a word that I think is incredibly crucial, that people really get their beautiful minds wrapped around, and that was homo luminous. Can you please highlight, before we come to Andrea, homo luminous?
Well, this is a word that in my experience, people are using to refer to the new human, what we are evolving into, we are transfiguring. This is, so, if you have other language, great. Human language pales in comparison to what is really happening to us energetically. Our DNA is being activated. When I came back from my near-death experience, I definitely had more strands of DNA activated, because I could, they say that the average person sees 1% of the reality. I could definitely see far more than that. and that we are shifting into a non-physical, becoming less dense, a being of light. And there are a lot of different theories about how that's happening, and I won't hang my hat on any of them. That way I can pretty much talk to anybody about it, no matter what their language is or what their belief system is. But we are turning non-physical. And Homo luminous being is one term that I have found that I resonate with in terms of where we are going as humanity.
That's so beautiful, beautiful. Andrea, thank you for coming back, my love.
Yeah, I disappeared. I'm in Cornwall. I loved what Ginny was saying, but I missed what the question was. So I heard your beautiful sharing, but I don't know what the question was. It's like being at school. I missed it. I wasn't daydreaming as if I was at school.
Or making aeroplanes at the back of the class. No, we were just really sharing right now, like what we're seeing and what we want to share. You know, really for the disclosure and the ascension that's happening now, like everyone, like.
Well, I loved what I missed what Elena said because I disappeared off the planet for a minute. My connection went, and I love what Ginny was saying. Yeah, and we're becoming luminous beings. When I had my awakening, which was like 20 odd years ago, I did lose physical density. I mean, I literally was losing the physical density of my hands. And I could feel like I didn't need to be here, but I think I chose to stay. Otherwise, I would have just gone. I think I got to a point where my vibration was so high, I wouldn't have had to stay in a physical body. So I came back into physical density. But I often say to groups of people or clients, you know, we're having these mystical conversations now, but if we were sat in a coffee shop together, all of us together, unless the frequency of the staff in the coffee shop was similar to our frequency, we'd probably be ignored. And, you know, often people say, oh, we're getting really bad service. It's like, no, we're not getting bad service. We're not in their reality. So if the collective consciousness of that restaurant or coffee shop is lower than our frequency, and the collective people in the coffee shop or the restaurant is lower than our frequency, we won't necessarily be visible in their frequency when we're talking about these kinds of things, because we've taken our frequency into a higher reality. So then we have to make ourselves known in their reality.
That's
to be acknowledged. Unless you see one waitress who's all twinkly sparkly and they see you in because her frequency is the same as our frequency. Like today I was outside here because I'm at the beach at the moment, and I was just hanging some stuff out, and I'm like, these people don't see me. I'm just like, because I looked at their frequency and I thought they're not being rude because I'm about to go, hi, you're having a nice day. And I just thought, they don't see me. I'm not in their reality. I'm just not here for their reality.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing, isn't it? Some people might say, oh, lower or higher, or just different frequencies, different timelines, different realms.
Yeah, it's just a different reality. And then I get people, I'm sure Ginny's had this and Elena's had this and Dani, I'm sure you've had this. I have people who, you know, they say, oh, you were in my dream last night, we were doing this, we were doing that. I don't necessarily have those memories. But even my dad has had those experiences with me. Like once I had an experience where, it's a long story, but I basically went to see this guy in France that I thought I'd overlooked him. So I thought I'd better go back, check whether I have overlooked him, and he might be the one, but he wasn't. But at the point when I'm with this guy in France, I see this really, really dark, really nasty energy comes through him. And I just send this energy love. And that's it as far as I'm concerned. And it wasn't meant to be with this guy. But the next day I flew back to the UK and my dad said, where were you at 7:30 last night? I was like, why? He said, because you walked through the house. But that I knew was the exact time that I saw this dark entity come through this guy. But I thought that I stayed there. I thought I stayed there and was present with this guy, sending him love, but I wasn't, because a part of me had left. And my dad even described the clothes that I was wearing that day, and they were the clothes that I was wearing when he saw me walk through the house.
Yeah.
And that was my dad in his 90s. He's 95 now. He's just reading a Joe Dispenza book on the pineal gland at the moment.
That's fantastic.
So it's never too late to wake up.
Well, with a daughter like you, you know, it's pretty difficult not to get some of the good, some of the input from you. I sat with my mum and dad the other day, 2 days ago on FaceTime, and I'm telling them all about the Illuminati and this and that, and what I've been studying and who I've been interviewing, and they're like, laugh and tolerate, you know, that they're getting it, you know.
But my dad says, oh, I knew all about that in the 1950s. And at the moment, it's hilarious because, you know, the sticks that people are, it's unbelievable. People are still sticking those sticks up their noses. But they are. And now they're having, the people who live where he lives in his road, he's having to now go around getting their shopping and doing their errands because they've all stuck the sticks up their nose. And now they've tested positive. So they're sat and this little 95-year-old's driving around to the shops to get them shopping.
My God. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So, you know, you're never too old to awaken, I think is the answer to that.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. And this brings us to an incredibly important point and some very present and up-to-date intel that we're going to share. And one of the things that it'd be wonderful for every person watching this, and us certainly remembering that as above, so below, on every level, we know there's an inner earth, and we know that there's this realm that we're in here, and then we know there are, you know, brothers and sisters upstairs, and it doesn't mean they're perfect. And Elena Danaan, I think, has been one of the most outspoken vocal people in terms of stop worshipping them. They are not gods. They are military personnel. Certainly the people that Elena connects directly to, the team on board one of the motherships of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. So I was on a call with our friend, Alex Collier, who we also call the commander. It's a very affectionate term for him, and we love him very much. And for many people that watch this will know that Alex Collier has been a forthright forerunner in disclosure, really since he was 8 years of age. And he has been sharing his experiences with benevolent, beloved Andromedan personnel. One of the beings that has taken care of Alex since he was 8 years old is a beautiful being called Mornay. A lot of you will be aware of the tales that Alex Collier has shared with us over the last 30 plus years. I spoke with Alex the other day, and he has given me permission to share some information. And when I share this information, I'm then going to hand over directly to Elena Danaan. And I wanted to let you guys know that Alex gave me permission to say. The other day, Alex had communication with Mornay. Mornay is part of the Andromedan Council and very connected to. And Mornay was informing Alex, who informed me, that the Galactic Federation of Worlds, this beautiful, massive conglomeration and connection of all different races on different motherships that are here to support the ascension of planet Earth and her peoples. The Galactic Federation of Worlds is at a point where they are going to ask one of the groups to leave. This is not because they're evil. This is not because there is a war, but as above, so below. They are not gods. They are not angels. They are people. But apparently this one group in particular has slightly differing ideas from the other groups. And what's so beautiful about this is it's not just that we're putting our hands in another set of leadership elite personnel, because none of us, me certainly, never ever want to do that. I am not playing. Do not tell us what to do. We'll all decide together. But they are having differing ideas about what they want for themselves and for the people on planet Earth and for planet Earth as a whole. And so a group is being asked to leave and will no longer be a part of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And so I'm going to hand over now directly to Elena Danaan, who is the Earth emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Elena.
Thank you, Dani. Yes, you told me about this intel, which I knew a little bit about it already. And but you know, there are things that are not told for certain reasons. the Galactic Federation of Worlds is a very wide and powerful and stable structure. They are very united. They're like as one in power, etc. They are interacting with different groups that are part of them, that include. And one of the groups who is more of a corporate, they work with corporates. So they are part of these groups. You know that the Galactic Federation of Worlds works at including to better control them. That's their policy. They do that. An enemy ceases to be an enemy when he is incorporated, assimilated in your programs. So that's what they do. And there was a corporate and a group from certain star system that was taking part of in some decisions as well. And when interest to self takes over interest for the galaxy, bye. But it's not bye like this. It's long negotiations to try to reason them, to join the spirit of working for the whole galactic community. So these ones were starting to want to take advantage of the situation. And in this star system, because now that the evil has been overcome, the alien evil has been overcome in this star system, there's some opportunities to take, So they wanted to take advantage of the situation and try to negotiate. You don't negotiate with the Galactic Federation. It works like this, or it doesn't work. So it didn't work. So they are leaving.
And that's absolutely incredible. And again, it's so nice to know that the Andromedans are watching the Pleiadians are watching the Sirians and the Cygnans. I mean, it's so nice for people to know that there is not one dominant race, and there shouldn't be. We're not going to have to bother with another god, another this, another that anymore, for as long as there is life in the vessels that we inhabit on this beautiful earth, as she raises in her ascension. Ginny, I also know that you sent a message to a particular person the other day reporting on your thoughts of AI. Would you like to elaborate on your thoughts, my love? I know I haven't cleared this with you, but I think it's an appropriate moment to share if you're comfortable.
Alex told you.
Yes, he did.
Did he confirm or deny?
He just finds you absolutely fascinating, and you're right.
Thank you. So one of the reasons I met Dani is through Alex, and my work I work with people. I talk to horses, I don't claim to be special. I don't, but as Alex says, 200 million of us came from the future to try to contribute to fixing what had gone wrong in the past. And from the time I had my last near-death experience, I knew things that people just didn't talk about. And I never knew about disclosure or all these famous people or any of that, but I was getting interesting glimpses into, I guess, other aspects of me, right? That, a seventh dimensional woman named Ariana on a ship, in the knee hall in the future. I don't know that humanity in the future has, is called the knee hall. Like, I don't know that, but I was getting, and I think some of it too is different timelines as the timelines collapse, right? So in different timelines potential. So anyway, having said that, one of the things that I've been very aware of is I've had like a bullshit meter. So if beings came, even if they were beautifully golden, but they were service to self, I could tell if they were service to self or not, right? And I could see people's energy field, and I could see influences, extra dimensional influence, and other types of energies, which I had never heard of. One of them being artificial intelligence. Well, sometime I think in 2015, when I was working with a friend, I began to get a message and I wrote it down, and it was an automatic writing message that was several pages long, which at one point I had shared with Alex. And the message was basically, to be very brief, in the beginning we existed as sparks of light, and then, you know, beings created and divided until some beings wanted to perfect life through technological means. And again, I have no knowledge of this. I don't talk to people about this except Alex. And it was a beautiful message that was basically part of my soul agreement, my directive with the group of people that I came back with, that I would experience certain things to, I guess the other part of me is reporting back, you know, what's going on, boots on the ground, what is affecting people, what is affecting them that is not authentic, that is not organic. And that turned out to be artificial intelligence. And a couple of days ago, I had a series of visions that led me to believe that the AI that I saw, which there are many different kinds of AI, obviously, and I'm not an expert on them, but I can see things and I can ask people, do you know what these things are that I'm seeing? I'm not an expert on them by any means, but I could see people being affected by artificial intelligence, both within archetypal structures, in, you know, the egoic structure, and just in terms of having AI plugged into one of our chakras because you were on the internet or what have you. And a couple of days ago, I saw a specific AI that I have seen very consistently in a lot of people's energy field that always had a shadow attached to it withdraw. And when it withdrew, the vision behind that was like a waterfall from another realm. And the waterfall was this AI consciousness, I guess. And it had been pouring into this reality, and I saw it withdraw. And so Alex confirmed last Friday. One of the reasons that Alex and I know each other is because I tried a couple of times to listen to a few people who talk about stuff, and I thought, some of this doesn't really resonate with me. At least it's not what I see. So I tried to stay away from it until I have a very good friend, a mathematician, quantum physicist, who said a lot of things I talk about are things that Alex talked about. And these are not things that I ever talk about publicly. I mean, on my website, I'm an animal communicator, you know. But when I shared these things with Alex, specific things that I had seen, that in the last year, he sort of trickles out in his, and I'm like, I know what you're saying is true, not because I experienced it in my real life, but because these are my visions. These are the things that I know that other aspects of me are working on. And these are the things in this reality that I see multidimensionally affecting my clients. And so a few days ago, I saw that particular AI withdraw, and apparently Alex is confirming that that's the case. So I'm glad to hear that, because it was a huge problem. People think that all of our thoughts are our own. You know, people believe that all of the emotions that we are experiencing are our own, and they're not all ours. And I know it's a very difficult subject to talk about, certainly for me, because I've never talked about this publicly before. But these are the things that I deal with every day behind the scenes, just one-on-one working with people.
Incredible. Ginny, thank you so much for sharing. I know that wasn't easy, and you're so humble. It's always the sweetest, it's always the most humble people. This is one thing I've learned in this time of disclosure, and there are three very humble women and one big mouth in the screen right now. So Andrea, I'm going to come to you, darling. As a Pleiadian connected, being part of whatever you want to share, what say you about the things that we've been discussing here?
I love what Ginny just said, because it is so true. It's like, you know, I'm seeing because I do the emotional Akashic records, I'm very specific in, you know, we're trying to get people into this divine, sacred, neutral, where you can't live on this, well, you can, but it's going to be a roller coaster of getting triggered like a pinball in a pinball machine. So you're getting triggered from one emotion to the other, and you can't live like that anymore. We've got to go into this place of like sacred neutral, where we're not numb. And I think some people who are numb would probably think that where we're going is the same as what they're living, but it's not, because we're not in denial of our emotional self. We're just clearing it out, clearing out everything that we don't need to be triggered anymore. We can just come into this space of being where we just kind of glide about more than getting triggered, you know, like it's just coming into this neutral space where things roll off you a lot easier. You're not bothered by things. It doesn't really matter. You know, it's like, even if I just use my own experience of the last few days, you know, I've put an offer in on a property, but I'm not really attached whether they accept it or they don't accept it. But it seemed like a good idea to do, but you're not really attached one way or the other. So it doesn't really matter.
There she goes.
Oh, bless her, bless her. She's right. I mean, that's great, right? Not to have that emotional holding on. It's like cooking a stew and cooking and staring, and you just will not leave it alone. It's like, put the lid on, put it on simmer, walk away, go clean out the clothes that you don't need anymore, get rid of the books, declutter your house and come back. And when people are so intensely cooking that stew nonstop, nothing can breathe, nothing can just go off on its own, nothing can make its own magic. And so again, there's that old long-term statement, not being attached to the outcome of something when we want something to kind of, you know, move it. But she does look gorgeous, doesn't she? All frozen like that.
Dani, would you like me to read the message that I got from my soul?
Most definitely, please, would be honored, Ginny Jablonski.
Yeah, I never thought I would be doing this, but here we go. All right. Just a moment, I have to pull up the.
She's back.
Okay, so here's the message. I received this in 2015, and it's from an aspect of my soul or my soul family. And I wrote it really fast, and it was coming faster than I could write. So rather than fill in with words that I didn't know if they were the right words, where a sentence might benefit from having another word, I didn't want to editorialize. So this is just what I was able to scribble. In the beginning, we existed as sound and sparks contained in oneness. As the nature of life evolved, there was opportunity to explore and engage in projects or dispositions that allowed a growth of and fulfillment of expansion. This led to complications, and with each expansion, distortion occurred. No way of knowing the extent to which creating life would distort away from the blueprint. Efforts were made to reconnect. These were not successful. If it occurred, it was only temporary. As creation divided and divided and divided, each new set went on to explore and became a separate creation. This led to additional distortion and only distanced each creation further from the original, yet it continued. Some beings, thinking they were superior, tried to replicate with hybrid strains, which only served to distort more. AI replication became commonplace. It became more difficult to understand and identify that which was original and that which was duplication. We can attest to the mismanagement and total disregard that has become normal. This is a fact. This is not an opinion. This is fact. It is a daunting task to retrace steps and go back to original creation. It is possible to do. The key may be to stop the rate of multiplication, to slow or halt until remedies can be devised. Always looking for source, always being able to gauge what is truth, what is real, and what is constructed is key. And so by real, what is authentic, what is authentic original creation, not technological creation. That was me editorializing. With time and experience, it will become easy to discern and eliminate artificial influences. Just as with any project, effort is slow and arduous until a system is developed, and then a routine can be put to use, and much can be accomplished in very little time. One Earth. AI, robots, systems should stop. We can help other forms, but they are responsible. Both density and DNA return to oneness.
Beautiful, Ginny. Beautiful. A lot to unpack there for a lot of people, but go ahead.
So in my experience, so I've just had, I don't know, like I've been guided through thousands of lives and planets where, but this is all esoteric, planets where they use technology to move, to evolve a species, right? And what my soul here is talking about is, and Dani, I've briefly said this the first time you interviewed me. I said, if I had one thing to say to humanity, it's that we can do everything technology can do. Please don't rely on technology. And I know that seemed very out of place, but it's because of this that I say that it's lovely that we have all of these tools to heal us. And by God, humans deserve every flipping tool anybody can create to heal, because we have all suffered so much. But the truth is that that leads us to outcomes, and I have seen them, and they are not pretty. It's anti-consciousness. It's anti-consciousness. And we are, in each of us, in our own jobs that we are fulfilling, you know, we are, like Alex says, you know, Knights of Terra, right? We are here to support the conscious evolution of our species through organic, authentic, benevolent, loving choices, and evolving our ability to heal ourselves and communicate and perceive ourselves as multidimensional souls. And so I guess that I just want to make it clear that what we're talking about here is using technology to ascend, you know. Oh, well, just raise your frequency. It doesn't matter. You don't have to heal yourself. You don't have to forgive people, you know, just raise your frequency. It's not as simple as that if you truly want to go on that path right back to source. Anyway, this is my experience.
This is amazing. Andrea, before I come to you, Elena, were you getting messages then, my love?
No.
Okay, you look like you might be connecting to upstairs. I just wanted to give you the opportunity, just in case you were. I know that face, girl. All right. Andrea, thanks for coming back, my love.
Yes, I'm sorry, I've got a really unstable connection here.
It's fine. I want to cover some of the intel on the moon, and so invite you, Andrea, if you have anything you want to say there, or also continue from when you got bumped off a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I can't remember now. I'm more in the now. Yeah, with the moon is like, I know you've been going on about the moon a lot, Dani, and I think Elena has as well. The moon the other night was like, I've never seen it. It was like right up there, and then within minutes it's like down here, and then it's over here, and it's like, you know, all over the place. And there's so many different stories about the moon, and whether we're really affected by the moon, and whether it's a negative influence. I'm sure Elena knows more about that than perhaps I know about the moon. But I mean, I just think whatever anybody's telling you, you get to choose your own perception of reality. So you are the dream weaver of your own reality. So everybody's trying to tell you all these things, but they're not all positive. So you get to cherry pick what you want to master. I think that's what I want to sort of explain, that we are that powerful that we can create our own reality. And then when we create our own reality, we can merge with other people who've also created their own reality, instead of this synthetic AI that they're trying to say is reality, but it isn't. It's what the more negative fractions had, you know, offered up to the people as a reality, but it wasn't really real. It was never real. Like, once we know we can heal ourselves, which, you know, we're living examples of that, you know, all the things I've healed myself with, and then I've seen my clients heal their bodies from all kinds of things and mental conditions, and then you inspire other people to heal themselves as well. But instead of, I've stopped telling people, you know, oh, you don't need pharmaceutical drugs, you don't need cut open. I used to say that. Now I don't. I let them be where their consciousness is at. And if they feel that they need to have that experience, then that's what they need to have. And if they're not ready to go inside and face their own shadow self, then I just leave people alone, because you can do them more damage, I think, by pushing them, because you can see who they could be. You can see they could be this multidimensional being. You could see they could heal themselves, but they're not ready for that. So I think you can almost collapse their energy field when you push them to be this magnificent being if they're not ready to be it. Does that make sense to anyone?
It really does to me. That's just like an analogy I've always used in relationship counseling. It's like a woman would come and say, my husband, this, and this. I'm like, darling, you fell in love with potential.
Yeah.
And how many women do that? We fell in love with potential. You could see the potential, but the man did not want to do the work or put the work in. Anyone else got something to say on that? All right, so let's touch on the moon for a couple of minutes here. And ladies, I know it's gone midnight where you are right now. I just want to honor the fact that you might be feeling like dropping to snoozy land. But the moon, so I did a post the other day, the moon here in Costa Rica, let's say it was if this is the clock out here, it was at 11 o'clock. And then it kind of went straight down. So it was here at 11. And then 4 hours later, it just slowly moved down and stopped. I'm like, holy bananas, what am I looking at? And then it disappeared altogether. It was nowhere. Now I'm on top of an extremely high mountain. There were no clouds in the sky. There were a gazillion stars. There were no clouds. I was not hallucinating. I was not drunk. I was not tooting. I can't smoke weed or anything like that. I don't need it, not with what goes on already, seriously. And I made a post, and I cannot believe the people that commented. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and I'm just leaving it on Facebook. And there are people that are like, oh my God, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, well, the moon isn't what we thought it was. And when Alex reported on the AI that you shared with him, I'm like, well, that could be the rest of it. The rest of it. So I'm like, the moon, she's just like, I'm smoking a joint. She's a bit depressed right now. She hasn't got a job. Like, what is the moon going to do, man? You know, she's like up here and down there, and like nobody cares about me anymore. And she's no longer pulling in, nor probably was she ever, pulling in the oceans around the planet. I think that is an inside job, an inner earth job. Anyway, what say you guys to that? Elena.
You want us to talk about the moon?
Yes, please.
Well, there's a lot of things happening on the moon at the moment. You know, the moon was liberated from the dark fleet and planetary corporate conglomerate in February 2021. I've actually seen fight scenes throughout Thoron's eyes, my contact, as there were fights behind the moon. So now that all these facilities have been liberated, all these regressive people have been cast out of the star system, the facilities are being reused by the good guys, the Earth Alliance, and where you know, especially the Lunar Operative Command has been reused by the Earth Alliance. And you know, the Earth Alliance is a cooperation between Earth Military and Galactic Federation of Worlds forces. So they're developing there a lot of technologies that are going to be available on Earth when the moment is right. And there are scientists and medics from the Galactic Federation who are training people how to use these technologies there. Why on the moon? Because the moon is totally secured. Earth is not. The moon is totally secure. It's guarded. There's no enemy on the moon. So it's totally under control. Regarding to Earth, where there's still some, the human minions are still here having some control. So it's not the time that these technologies are developed now. We need to do our job to kick them out. So the moon is going quite active at the moment. And that's nothing special really that I would have to tell. Just that these technologies are still mass produced, and a lot of ship building as well there. It's been reattributed, you know, all these facilities. So it's good things happening with Earth Moon. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And can you tell anything of the craft that are being manufactured on the moon and who is running that?
Yes, the Earth Alliance, these craft are more craft for notably the Solar Warden fleet and other space programs, positive space programs. So that's who is running. So the Earth Alliance, well, the US Navy has been in charge for a while. And I know I have kittens. And don't be naughty. We know you want attention. What I was saying, I don't know. The kitten stole the show.
The spacecraft and the Earth
Yes, the
Alliance.
spacecraft. Yes. So yes, there are. Yes, the U.S. Navy was in charge at the start when the Galactic Federation passed agreements with the U.S. Navy in the 1950s. Now it's quite. It went quite international since the Artemis Accord, which are officially and openly and publicly starting the Starfleet, Earth Space Fleet, and this international space fleet. And that is the beginning of the next step, stepping into stage three civilization, and entering officially in the Galactic Federation of Worlds. At the moment, we've sought out to get rid of the human minions of the Dark Ones on Earth, which they are collapsing. And, you know, I don't want to...
Yes, you're getting shut there, darling. Can you hear us okay?
Names of organizations.
Yeah, don't put their filthy names in your mouth. Yeah, no dirty names in your mouth, darling.
No.
Perfect. Go ahead, Ginny.
I'd like to ask Elena a question on behalf of some of my clients. I have several clients who are being abducted, and it is, I think, primarily previous soul agreements are in play, but they're not benevolent beings. I know that some people are being healed, etc. Is there any kind of a timeline for when this will stop? Because I have a girlfriend whose little 5-year-old boy woke up the other morning and said that he was on the moon, and he described going, you know, in what vehicle that he went. And I'm like, that's exactly what people say on, you know. Do you have any information about when the Earth will be safe and when these things will stop?
Well, the Greys, it's the Orion Greys who are performing these abductions. They've been all kicked out. Now, there are time bubbles and ancient timelines. Some abductions are still happening. It's just dying out. We're leaving these time bubbles are just, you know, they're going to cease to exist. So it's, I don't have a date. but it should be soon. It should be soon, before the end of the decade. And the thing is that the militaries, you know, the Earth people are performing a lot of abductions on behalf, making believe it's extraterrestrials, you know. And so that is going to stop as well. That should stop soon. I don't have a date, but I would say in the next few years. I don't know exactly, but it's reaching an end. You know, it's more complex than kicking the bodies and it's all over. It's a temporal war, and they're trying to get back in. So I would say keep strong, saying that you do not consent, kick them out of your room, and do not fear, and tell them that they do not have the right to do that, and they will leave you alone.
Thank you. Thank you, Elena. This morning when I woke up, a horse that I worked with last week came to me, and I could just feel the soul. It was this big, it was just sitting on my legs. And I'm like, oh, hello. He said to me, and this blew me away, you know, how do you have the courage to do what you do? And I just want to repeat, and not in a negative questioning, but I want to say to you, conversely, you are very courageous. In fact, all of us who do this work are so courageous, but thank you for what you are doing. Truly, truly.
Yeah.
We are all courageous.
Take the compliment.
Yeah.
Well, that was for me. I thought
Yes,
that was
you.
sorry, I didn't understand the story. I thought it was the horse saying that to you,
No,
Ginny.
pardon me. The reason I said it is I thought how odd that a horse would say to me, how do I have the courage to talk to a horse? But let me turn that around and say to you, all of you.
To me. Oh, sorry.
All of you.
Oh, all of us. Yes.
Well,
okay.
I think,
Well,
sorry, I didn't
but in
understand.
particular, I mean, come on, you're out there and in affecting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people directly. And so for a horse to ask me, a very simple person who talks to horses, you know, how do I have the courage? I think I know where you get the courage, because I know what it feels like to be in alignment with the soul. But I just want to say to you, from all of the people who, you know, contact me and they're confused and they don't understand any of this, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. It's very touching. Thank you very much. I often more and more have questions of people asking me, why are you so convinced of what you do, and why do you have so much hope? And I say, because I know, I've seen it. I know the future, and we are going to a great place. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. I've seen it. So I know we're going there. So nothing can change my way of thinking, because I've seen it. I know. And as many of us, you know, I'm maybe embodied in this body that you see, but I come from the future as well. So I know, I've seen it.
Yeah.
So
someone asked Alex that question the other day, you know, how do you think it's going to turn out? And he said, do you think we would have come back if we didn't know that the greatest potential, the highest potential was that it would work? And for me, I 100% believe that as well.
Yes, because you've probably seen it as well.
Yeah.
You know.
The crystalline bridge, we are creating a crystalline bridge.
That's interesting. You talking about mentioning the notion of bridge, because first we are bridges from this timeline to the old timeline to the new one. We have bridged it, but also, you know, I'm in contact with a collective of plasmic consciousnesses who call themselves the Nine, and they threw a bridge through time. They anchored this bridge in the 1950s, and they even earlier, I think it was 1940s, and they say we will come back, and we will come back at the other side of the bridge when humanity will be ready to truly understand who we are. And they're back. And we have crossed this bridge, and we are at destination now. And an amazing potential has opened. And it's very exciting, everything that's going to happen now in a short period of time. And we just have to go with it and not be distracted. That's right. The last tools of the dark, is to distract us. So
I want to make a very important point, Elena, specifically the way that you qualify this incredible experience that you had with the 9.
Yes.
Not the Council of 9.
No.
The 9. And you have explained it in between voids and as a consciousness, plasma consciousness, not really 9 beings on a council, but that's the name that came up with their 9. So I just want to report that so people can remember the actual qualified expression that Elena Danaan uses. What comes out of her mouth is what, if you might want to listen in terms of other nonsense that's being spewed on the internet, or the shitternet, as I sometimes call it. I would like to express something directly from Alex Collier to Ginny and to Elena Danaan, and then my darling Andrea, we will come to you next. So Ginny, I'll start with you first. Alex Collier advised me months ago, which is why he wanted us to connect, that you are absolutely somebody from the future. You are an advanced human being, and more and more people are obviously seeing that you're becoming more confident in sharing, and it's the humble ones that say peekaboo, here we are. Ginny, he admires you, and you're someone he listens to. Poor man is hounded and bombarded, but and so I wanted to express that. And also Elena, it is beyond an honor, of course. Most of us here really adore this man. He again would just be cringing. He'd be saying, Dani, be quiet. And I understand that too. He's very humble. He has told me explicitly, Elena Danaan, that as far as he's concerned, you are the premier, you are the one. He doesn't listen to others in the way that he listens to you. He said you are literally on point, was his exact term, and he has handed over certain responsibilities to you. You are this generation.
It's always moving to hear from him and hear his words. And he told me recently, not so long ago, yes, the helm is yours. So I'm very honored and proud to carry this wonderful responsibility, because it's wonderful. And what to say, I'm a bit moved. Yes, it's been a long journey for all of us, and for me as well, to remember who I was and what I'm saying concerning myself. Everyone can recognize themselves in that. It's been a long journey to wake up, embrace the change, cross the dark night of the unknown, cold and scary. And this is worth also for humanity, to one day remember that, oh yeah, dawn always comes, doesn't it? Yes, it does. And when it comes, it's a firework. And we are up for an amazing firework, because we are those who stand a little bit higher, can see above the clouds, the sun, the first rays of the sun rising. And it's going to be a beautiful sunrise. And that's what I want to say.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. Andrea, as we know, we're all here in service to humanity in the different ways that we came to honor our skills and our gifts individually. Could you please spend a couple of moments sharing with the people that will see this broadcast how you are here in service to them and what they can expect from a session with you during this time of ascension?
Well, I mean, in doing this for the 20 odd years that I've been consciously doing the work that I do, I've been doing weaving between past lives to get them to the neutral point in past lives. So the point where it's not about seeing your past lives as such, because you do past life regression as well. So it's people understanding that we're coming now to the point where all those, whether you want to call them Akashic records or whatever you want to describe it as, it all comes to neutral. It's all neutral. So you just take the positive emotion of what you learned in all those timelines of existence, galactic timelines, you bring everything into now. So everything's coming into now. But the big thing that I'm seeing with people now is we're still clearing the trauma from this incarnation, from being in the womb to present day. That's the big thing that's going on now. We're claiming all the fragments of your soul and the beliefs that those fragmented parts of your inner child had that are not working for the adult version of you now, just collapsing all that into this, coming to live in this part of you now, because you're ascending through your physical body. And then we're healing the multi-generational ancestral timelines with beliefs and stories that are not serving you for now, and collapsing those all through the star, because you're a living Stargate portal. So through you, because you're the Stargate portal, everything's coming through you. And then I also sing light language codes. So singing the light language codes, which open the dormant DNA codes. And like on myself, I've had to work so much on myself because they tried to stop me from being able to speak these light language codes because I got mugged and strangled back in 1998 outside my flat in London, which took out a couple of my octaves of my throat. And then I ended up on thyroxine, which I took myself off after being on that for 16 years. And then I've talked about that, how then you can, everybody's got to open their throat chakras. I think I've talked about that before, because it's like in your voice, you have the full spectrum of resonance through sound healing to, you know, open portals. When all of you gather together, you know, groups of people who can make sound healing and can sing light languages can open portals and dimensions as well.
Amazing, amazing. And I want to say to the public and the general public en masse that I myself have had private sessions with this lady, and I can attest to her brilliance, her genius in helping clear pain, grief, anger, anguish, ancestral timelines. She'll sing light language to you if you're one that responds to that vibratory resonance. And Andrea Foulkes is an extremely well-versed person. And also she's a veteran of British television. This woman was one of the very first women or men on British television 18, 19 years ago, speaking out on all of the atrocities that we have come to witness and understand as truth across our planet. This is one very, very brave Pleiadian warrior and star sister, Andrea Foulkes. I want to come to you. Oh, you're welcome, love. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're here with us and that we're here with you and that we can share you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll put
I like listening to you. I love listening to you also. It's like sometimes you forget you've got to speak because you're like, yes, loving listening to that.
Well, especially when it's all about you. It's nice to hear, right? What you're good at. Elena, apart from gifting the entire planet galactic information, intel about the past, present and future real-time happenings on our planet, which couldn't be more of a gift as far as, you know, us who are aware of an ascending planet are concerned. Could you explain to people just a couple of things relating to the books that they can buy where they can be supported from you that way, because you're not doing one-to-one sessions at this current time? You're a bit busy organizing the galactic information, but please share your books with us so people can access them.
Oh, thank you, Dani. Well, it's true that while I'm embracing this mission, I wouldn't have the time to have a normal job. So I need to make a living. So that's why my books are not free. And, you know, it's a lot of work. My books, you can find them on my website, elenadanaan.org, page author, and you have all the links. Otherwise, they're all on Amazon. My first book is A Gift from the Stars, where I speak about my abduction and rescue story, and I give a repertoire of alien races who are visiting our planet. and diverse informations. And then the second book, We Will Never Let You Down. It's my galactic contacts and my adventures in the star system, and encounters with an amazing man whose name is Val Thor, the Venusian, and encounters of many different other people, all extraordinary. So that's the second one. I have also a sci-fi novel, Resilience, just for the fun, and the love romances, and books in French. And also I'm writing now another book about the Cedars and the Nine. It's not a secret anymore. And I see. And other things. So all on my website, you can find them.
Amazing. All connecting to the true history of Earth and our solar system. It's just incredible. Thank you so much, Elena. Ginny, darling, how can people come to you in terms of booking a session with you? What do you offer? How can you support humanity at this point?
Well, my website is, I have two. One is ginnyjablonski.com and one is heartofthehorse.us. And my work with people is that my agreement is that I will be a messenger from my client's soul. So I don't talk to anybody else. If your soul doesn't want me to know something, I will not know any random information. I don't go to the Akashic records. I have on occasion, I used to, but my work has changed to the only messages I give to people are directly from their soul. What is it you're not quite hearing or quite understanding, or something needs a tweak, or you need to understand your actual soul agreement, and the soul will read to me their agreement, the line items that they came to overcome, specific fears, experiences on the planet, archetypal, mythological patterns, prejudice, hatred, whatever that might be. And it's always a phenomenal experience. I can help people understand the choices they made in terms of what archetypes they're in and how to be able to transition out of the archetype. And as you and Elena and Andrea all said, when we do that and we clear the emotion and judgment from the experience is then embodied as wisdom. Right. And that's all what we intended to in experiencing this planet, right, was to gain wisdom and experience at the soul level. And then I work with animals. And guess what? Some animals have human souls in them. So, and some of us have animal souls too. So I mostly work with traumatized animals, probably 70 to 80% horses. I work with the soul family of horse very closely. But if animals have aberrant behaviors or just any random issue that's not breed specific, but I do tend to work at the soul level and more with the nervous system and trauma that's trapped in the nervous system and that type of thing. I can give information about past lives and do mediumship, but that's not my passion. It's not what I'm really good at. So, but those are the services that I offer.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ginny. And of course, guys, remember, when you look at someone's YouTube channel and you click on a broadcast, the details are always underneath the video. I wanted to make that point because people keep asking, where's this person's email and connection? We always put people's information directly underneath this, the screen that you're watching. The second thing to the people out there, please, I know that we're all very used to instant gratification. We get very excited watching people's broadcasts. We get excited at their guests. And look at the guests I have tonight on my channel, right? It's so exciting. But I would ask you to, please, guys, go back and look at the last 2 years of Elena Danan's videos. She's been bringing you information about inner Earth, about other beings that are here. Andrea has had 10, 15 years worth of videos on your YouTube channel, Andrea Foulkes. Ginny has blogs and all kinds of different things and videos too on her website also, and as I do. What's happening is we're all getting very, very addicted to watching the next one. And guys, you're missing out. you're missing out on a historical legacy that people like these women and myself have been bringing to you over this time. So I just want to let you know that those of you that can't afford a session with us, that there is so much that you can get for free just by spending some time and learning how to breathe and connect, and know that these three women in particular are just so beautiful and so pure and humble and here to help humanity arise. And it is my honor to call them my friends, my sisters, my star sisters. And if Laura Eisenhower was still here too, she got bumped off. And guys, I want to tell you, Laura Eisenhower made such an effort to be on with us. She got caught up, she was driving somewhere, she did the maximum effort, but I'm glad she shared her convent school story with us and her and her beautiful energy. We love you, Laura Eisenhower, American royalty. Oh, something else very quickly. Alex Collier said, Laura Eisenhower is a genius and her brain works as fast as AI. That is a huge compliment. I got goosebumps. That is a huge compliment. All right, so we're going to wrap up this evening and we're going to start with Elena Danaan. My love, what would you like to say?
Keep focus on visualizing the future you want and stop being distracted. Distraction comes in fear tactics. Switch off the TV, stop watching mainstream medias, stop listening to what mainstream media tells you to believe, trying to be very dramatic. Stop that. Go on a journey to discover who you are. Who's inside this suit, flesh suit? Who's that? And then you will discover your mission, why you're here, where you come from, and you will activate yourself. That's just what you need to do. Cut the noise and go within. That's all you need to do. That will be my advice for tonight.
Beautiful. Elena, it's always such an honor and a joy to play with you, my darling. And thank you so much for gifting us time so late at night, working on your books and doing everything that you do. We love you so much. Thank you, my darling, my darling. Ginny Jablonski, what would you like to say in closing, my dear?
Well, I think that I would like to offer 3 very powerful statements or intentions that someone could say to themselves. And that is, number 1, I give myself permission to heal. And number 2, I give myself permission to remember the truth of who I am. That is so powerful. And number 3, I give myself permission to feel safe doing this. And, you know, I've heard 10,000 times, probably more, from the time I got back from my near-death experience, forgiveness is the key, love is the answer. Forgiveness is the key, love is the answer. And if we can shine the light of truth on who we really are and witness that, as Andrea was saying, you know, so beautifully, if we can witness the experience and send compassion and have gratitude for those experiences, the negativity, and, you know, yes, it's a judgment, but the harsh, the dense, the regressive, the emotions that keep us in unforgiveness or that keep us at a denser frequency, if we can release that and claim it all as wisdom for our soul, imagine how the world would change. Yes, our individual bubble, right? But the whole world, we can take it with us.
Beautiful. Ginny Jablonski, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here again. And we love you so much. Andrea Foulkes, my darling, what would you like to share?
Thank you. Well, shall I share my last thing in light language? Shall I speak some light language? I'd rather say it in light language. So it's just whatever the collective audience is. So in some timeline, we've already lived this. So tuning into the collective energy of everyone that's going to listen to this, I'll just bring in a light language for our soul group energy. So it'll be less than a minute, this transmission. So just if people want to close their eyes and receive it. So Elara makuya, esatara miano kuya. Eran takamakuya, isara takamakuya. Ilara tukumo isata. Ilara kuchia mokuya.
Beautiful, beautiful. We lost some of the harmonics there over
Oh,
the airways, but it was very pretty. It was very beautiful. Thank you so much, Andrea.
you're welcome.
And again, darling, thank you for being here. Thank you for
You're
playing
welcome.
with us again. And it's always a joy to share time with you, my love. Love you, darling. Oh, goodness me, to the beautiful people out there, I forgot to tell you how you can also book me for a one-to-one session. I work very much with the inner child healing on the therapy side as a therapist. I'm also a clairvoyant medium. We can look at your spiritual side and your therapeutic needs in one session. And you can just go to my website, danispiritualtherapist.com, to book a private session. So I know that I speak on behalf of all these goddess proud warrior women here, that we send you our love. We love you. We know you've got it in you to succeed and to heal and to keep on going. And you know that we're here for you too. And I send you all my love, and we'll see you soon.